You need to focus on financial systems. You need to focus on lead generation. You need to focus on pre-construction. You need to focus on production and on your team. Those are the 5 pillars of your business that you need to be focusing on. So let's just discuss them really quickly, high level. Again, this is something that we're going to be digging into once a month within the Modern Craftsman community, live on these workshops. You can attend, you can ask questions, you can interact with us, but we're going to be digging into these if you're part of that Modern Craftsman community, if you're part of the Modern Craftsman circle, so make sure that you are checking this out. So number 1, your financial systems. Do you actually know your numbers? Do you understand your job costing before and during and after projects? Do you understand your overhead? Do you understand your actual profit? Most of us think that we're profitable, and we're not taking into account our numbers. We're not taking into account our investment of time, right? So we're cheating it. We're making our business, we're lying to ourselves that our business is actually profitable without taking into account all of the concessions as a business owner. If you do not understand your numbers, you will never be able to make a decision or an educated decision how to move ahead with your business. You have zero metric for if that decision works or if it doesn't work. The financial impact of that decision, if you should continue down that road or if it was a poor financial decision, because you have nothing to base it on. You also need to have a great lead generation system. And this is not just lead generation, this is marketing. It's understanding how to develop a funnel, how to bring new leads in, how to nurture existing leads, how to classify qualified leads that are coming in, how to maintain as low of an investment on your end cultivating and maintaining and assessing these leads as possible. You're not just looking to get more leads, you're looking to attract better leads, the right leads. You're positioning yourself for the right leads rather than chasing every lead that comes across your plate. For years, I convinced people to hire me. That wasn't the right move. If you have an adequate lead generation system, if you're marketing yourself correctly, you shouldn't have to convince people to hire you. You also need to have a proper pre-construction system. Regardless of market, where you live, type of work that you do, this is a big one for us. It's something we've been preaching for years. If you skip this, you are signing up for chaos. You need to make sure that you're getting paid for your discovery, to develop scope, to ensure that your client's program aligns with what you offer as a business. All of this needs to be done during pre-construction. It needs to be a separate part of your business. You have to create proper expectations within that entire system. It should be a consulting service. It is mandatory for success. And there's a lot that goes along with that. There's a lot to dig into, which we will continue to do so. But pre-construction is not just about getting them an estimate. It's about making sure that there's alignment and the expectations are set properly. You need a production system. You need to have scheduling systems. You need to have communication systems within your business. There needs to be accountability systems and metrics within your business. If you are required to babysit your projects, babysit your employees in order to maintain the production that's necessary for your business to be profitable and successful, then you do not have a proper production system in place. You need systems for your teams. You need roles. You need defined roles. You need a hiring process. You need to be able to train and onboard employees. You need to be able to move employees through the ranks. You need systems to be able to delegate people within the business. And that all should not come down to you. If everything comes back to you, you don't have a system in place. Every problem that you all are dealing with in business, every single problem, if you just started your business, if you're 15 years into business, every single problem that you are experiencing or you have experienced ties back to these 5 systems that we're focusing on. Absolutely the case. If you don't have these 5 systems in place, and even when you do, it's not going to be perfect, but if you don't have these 5 systems in place, if you're not constantly working on maintaining and structuring these systems, you are going to be working like an absolute dog for a very long time. So what can you expect if you develop these systems, if you stabilize these systems, if you work on these 5 pillars of your business? More predictable profit, so you don't need to guess how much work you need to take. You don't need to guess what your numbers are going to look like, what your taxes are going to be like what your projections will be at the end of the year. You will have smoother projects, which means more profitability, more efficiency, happier and better morale within your business. You're going to have better clients because you're going to be setting proper expectations, maintaining those expectations, and remaining on your client's good side. They're going to be spending their money as they see fit. They're going to have a great experience with you. And most importantly, you're going to be regaining control of not only your business, but your life. So with these systems, one of the big things that just sticks out to me, that is such a huge, this one sentence to me just rings so true, and it speaks so loudly to me, because it's what I feel is one of the biggest hurdles and one of the biggest issues within our business, is that we chase revenue rather than margin. What we feel is the cure, the silver bullet to all of our issues is more revenue, when we should be focusing on margin. And working on these 5 pillars will allow you to stop chasing revenue and focus on margin, especially if you're in this $2 to $7 million range. Even if you're less, like if you focus less on revenue and more on margin and more on maintaining a lower overhead and less callbacks and less resources to do the same amount of work or less amount of work, and focusing on your profitability and your margins, you're going to be in a much better place. You're able to take on fewer jobs, better jobs. Your team is able to start solving problems instead of constantly bringing problems to you, and you will actually have time to think, to plan, to grow, and to have a life outside of your business, which I think a lot of us yearn for, right? We started a business and we are just absolutely handcuffed to this business, and a lot of us want that, but we don't necessarily need that all the time. It'd be nice to be able to step away from that, right? We're the type of personalities that, yeah, this is what we want, this is what we signed up for, but maybe 80% of the time. Does it need to be 120% of the time? No. So I want you all to remember, it's not just about doing more, it's about doing the right things with the proper structure behind them.